first presenter to Sir Portugal A. Carbonell. Okay, so we will play the videos. Okay, for the volunteer, please play the video.
Good morning, fellow research enthusiasts. Presenting my research entitled Academic Survival Experiences of Students During the COVID-19 Pandemic. This research is a phenomenological research intended to determine the struggles of ISPSC Cervantes campus students during the COVID-19 pandemic, specifically towards their academic survival, which would lead to an understanding of their real battle or struggles and eventual considerations in strategizing modes of instructional delivery that will cater on their needs for a significant learning experience in this new normal. The research primarily aimed to determine the effects of the pandemic to the college students' lives. Specifically, it aims to, first, determine the challenges experienced by the college students in meeting the requirements in their subjects. Second, to determine the coping mechanisms they employ to overcome the challenges. Third, to determine any positive effect of the pandemic on their life as a student. Fourth, to determine the interventions or helps that have been extended by their teachers. And lastly, to determine what kind of help would the students wish to have been extended on them. For the research methodologies, this research employs phenomenological research design and employed purposive sampling. The data needed for the research were gathered using interviews via email, chat, or any social media platform to reach the students. The research population includes the college students of Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College Cervantes campus enrolled during the second semester of 2019-2020 through the second semester of 2020-2021. At least 10 respondents each were chosen from BS Ed, BE Ed, BT Ed, BTV Ed, and BSIT programs of the college. Here are the results of the research. For the challenges, the students have experienced personal and environmental challenges. Personal challenges includes difficulty in adjusting to the new way of learning and in comprehension of subject matters. Moreover, they experience difficulty in comprehension of subject matters and oftentimes misinterpret the concepts inscribed in the modules. As one student have exclaimed, I have hard times in understanding the lessons, answering the questions, and in complying with the requirements. Most of the time, I just briefly read or not to read at all our lessons and directly answer or comply the activities. Personal challenges also include personality struggles like lack of confidence to communicate with instructors, pressure and stress, concentration problems, and depressions. As one of the respondents say, one of the challenges I've met on my subject is my lack of confidence to tell nor ask questions to some of the instructors. Meanwhile, the environmental challenges include limited time allotment for activities and overload of requirements per subjects, leading to difficulty in managing time and in meeting the deadline. Moreover, environmental challenge includes the movement restrictions due to community lockdowns, disabling students to access resources such as load, gadgets, or laptops and references. Also included environmental challenge are the inconsiderate teachers and poor internet connections. In answer to the problem number 2, the coping mechanisms of the students are as follows. Internal coping mechanisms. With the volumes of work that they need to accomplish, they develop patience, industry, responsibility, and accountability. As they persevere in meeting the demands of academics, they have been used of the situation and slowly got their pace, thus developing resilience. Moreover, as many other Filipinos, the students have exemplified positivity as they maintain their sense of humor. In dealing with the challenges brought by time, the students have employed various strategies in managing their time, which includes scheduling to manage their time well, created to-do lists in sticky notes, lessened Facebook time as the social media app, doubling time even if it means staying late at night just to finish the required output in the modules so as to meet the deadlines, and multitasking, that is, making flexible schedules for modules, work, and household chores. In their coping mechanisms, the students have also exemplified external coping mechanisms, which include supports from peers and seniors from whom they seek assistance in terms of understanding the new and not so easy to comprehend topics, and even borrowing the resources as laptops for specific activities. For connection problem, they look for places within the community with more stable connection. One students have claimed to climbing to the top of the mountains just to have signals or connections to be able to browse the net and submit requirements online. Also, they go to the house of their relatives into areas identified to have more stable connections for easy access, and they look for places free from noise and destruction. For the third objective, to determine the positive effects of the pandemic, the students or the respondents have claimed to have improved relationship, both intrapersonal and interpersonal. For interpersonal relationship, they claim to have developed independent self-study, productivity, responsibility, flexibility, and resilience as they have learned to adjust to the situation with firm grip on their goals. They have also become more optimistic as they have deliberately focused on their strength rather than their weaknesses. Also, they have claimed to have an enhanced digital and entrepreneurial skills. They become responsive to their synchronous classes through Google Meet and other online apps. They have also claimed to have awakened their inclinations to business and online selling and other similar businesses. Moreover, they have realized the importance of teachers' role in effective understanding of the lessons. They have spent more time with their respective families, thereby strengthening their bonds and have exercised well their familial responsibility in helping in household chores. They have claimed to have guided younger siblings, nieces, and nephews in their modules, and they have deepened their faith. For the for the fourth problem, when they were asked on the interventions they have received from their teachers, they have their following answers. They claim to have their teachers answer questions even beyond time or late nights, extend understanding, adjust deadlines of submissions, accept late submissions at that. Their teachers try to connect online. They are accessible and approachable. They give advice. They also provide tutorial apps, links, files, and videos and online discussions. They also have established consistent roles, answer queries nicely, give clear instructions. They adjust difficulty of activities, being sensitive in many ways. They teach to take a step-by-step procedure. They monitors and updates regularly, motivates, cheers, inspires, and encourages their students. However, with problem number 5, they wish the following to have been extended on them. First, they wish to have cold attention when activities are falling and with low remarks. Favor of more extensions to give more time in answering. Limited face-to-face instructions on hands-on activities. Minimize use of laptops and emails in sending answers. More specific instructions or discussions and examples on new topics. Online class on majors. Financial assistance. Load sponsor or allowance. Mental health aid. Strong internet connectivity. Intervention materials like recorded video discussion. Lesson activities in the module. In conclusion, based on the findings, the paper concluded that the college students' lives in Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College, Cervantes campus were greatly affected by the pandemic, specifically towards their academic survival. Evidently, the students were challenged internally, pertaining to personal, and externally, pertaining to environmental, in meeting their subject requirements. These challenges, however, did not deter them from accomplishing the desired output. Instead, they were fired up to keep on fighting. They were fired to keep on fighting for their dreams by employing both internal and external coping mechanisms. Thus, they were enabled to adjust and overcome successfully the challenges while maintaining their emotional well-being. Consequently, they were able to thrive and become optimistic as they have developed their interpersonal and interpersonal relationships. Hand in hand with their self-development is the humble acknowledgement of the crucial role of the respective teachers in their survival. Thus, they recognized and appreciated the extended helps by the teachers in terms of instructions and moral supports. Nevertheless, they wish to have limited face-to-face instructions and performance feedback, as well as financial and technical assistance. This is indicative of the remaining gap that needs to be filled so as to maximize their potentials. Let me end my presentation with a quote from Epictetus: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Portugal Carbonell. So I think it is 1 minute left. So I think it is possible to receive one question to our first presenter to Please, if anyone have a question to our first presenter, please give your question. You can deliver directly or text it in the chat box. Okay, is there any question to our first presenters? Hello, sir, ma'am. Any question? Okay, if there is no question, I think please prepare the question until the end of this session, and let's continue to the second presenter, that is Ma'am Annabelle Apollo. So for the volunteer, please help me to play the videos.
Good day from the Philippines. This is Dr. Apollo Francisco from the Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College. The title of my research, Men as Mothers, The Lived Experience of Filipino House Husbands. The collection of narratives found in literature provide various constructs on the house husband phenomenon. However, do men really mother? Sociologist Andrea Dusay posed this question when she explored the world of fathering in the context of Canadian stay-at-home dads, so therefore in the West. She asserts that stay-at-home fathers don't mother. According to her, these fathers perform mothering tasks, but their wives return home and take over. Thus, parenting is a shared role of a mother and a father. However, in the Philippines, the house husbands is different. In the Philippine context, where old-style and conformist gender roles are still prevailing, Filipino men are left in the Philippines to become house husbands, deconstructing the stereotypical gender role narratives as thousands of female workers leave the country to become caregivers and domestic helpers overseas. Hence, the Filipino house husbands are plunged in a totally different context. If we ask again, therefore, do Filipino men mother? Filipino house husbands' wives are physically miles away from their respective families, as opposed to the house husbands from the West, where their partners reperform the parenting. The Filipino house husbands are left to do the task by themselves in full-time basis and in a longer span of time. So, an issue actually faced by the Filipino house husband is, how do they mother? The phenomenon renders a problematic situation for the Filipino house husband, since they are left on their own to brawl and to fill in the tasks typically labeled for their wives. So for this study, I employed this methodology. It's the phenomenology to explore the day-to-day lived experiences of these men. In this study, 15 participants were interviewed. So the criteria for selection were he should be a lawful husband of an overseas Filipino worker, and he should not be employed in government or private, and if he may be a self-employed or have a small business. So after the potential participants were referred and identified, 2 data gathering vehicles were utilized, phenomenological interviews, and focus group discussion. We employed 2 vehicles so that we could have a more in-depth discussion. And the result, the following are the essential themes which surface the voice of these men. First, enduring the role switching. Second, stabilizing his authority and control, and keeping the marital relationship steady, withstanding the feelings of guilt, regret, and worry, and surviving, of course, the social stigma. So first, the enduring the role switching. Enduring the role switch covers the difficult challenges of this house husband in order to respond to the needs of their respective children as their moms, and how they carry out the abstractness of motherhood to the family as a whole. So while other men see The Phenomenon as a Way to Support Their Wives by Chesley 2011 and Solomon 2014, and The Role Switching as a Product of Changing Gender Ideology by Kramer and Kramer 2016, the Filipino house husbands have to physically and psychologically respond to their arrangement. Unlike the house husband in the previous works in the West, like their wives are career women who return home after their office works, the wives of the Filipino house husbands are overseas. So they have to carry all the difficulties and challenges of being both mother and a father to their children. Indeed, as human beings with wives miles away from them, they endure the role switch by concretizing the abstractness of motherhood, doing the role with open mind and acceptance, complete the physical absence of their wives. Second is stabilizing his authority and control. Stabilizing authority and control encompasses how they maintain the stability of their position as the men of the house, although they are not the family's breadwinner. So, sole judgment on issues and concerns, especially about the children, the family as a whole. So most of the participants consider yielding in arguments as a way to stabilize control, while it is expected that the wives are the ones comforting the husband during oral arguments or fight. In this context, the husbands are the ones doing such. So in such manner, they could still stabilize, the authority and control. Third is keeping the marital relationship steady. Describes the struggle they have to endure just to make the marital relationship smooth sailing. So the house husband choose to be submissive and tame as they avoid heated arguments or confrontation with their wives, a form of moral support to their wives. The house husbands believe that the fight is futile and will not do good to their relationship. So the distant and seldom conversations are reserved for positive exchanges and not for fighting, just so to keep the marital relationship steady. And then the fourth is withstanding the feelings of guilt, regret, and worry. Similar with the circumstances of the American stay-at-home dads, Filipino house husband participants also tried many times to apply for employment. However, they were deprived of employment because they were not as lucky as their wives. So the Filipino house husbands are also at home unwillingly. But because of economic well-being, living below poverty line, they are pushed to stay at home. With this scenario, the impact of role reversals imprints feelings of guilt, regret, and worry to the Filipino house husbands. And surviving the social stigma. Social stigma demonstrate how they handle negative remarks against their masculinity. So Filipino house husband take refuge not from their loved ones. Negative feedbacks from loved ones make the house husband anxious, but it's serve as push for them to take part-time jobs, not necessarily masculine in nature. They're after the shift from their full-time housework, since the temporary alteration shells out their hidden masculine identity, which makes them less guilty of the role switch and gives them at least some masculine pride. So, just so to survive the stigma. So in conclusion, as mothers, Filipino house husbands have to carry all the difficulties and challenges of being both a mother and a father to their children. But however, they still have to maintain the authority and control in their wives by showing support and doing the chores, and make the marital relationship smooth sailing and endure the pressure coming from the persistence of chauvinist norms. To keep being steadfast, Filipino house husbands take refuge not from their loved ones nor relatives, but to their faith, because Filipinos are known for being faithful to God and hold on to the power of prayers. Again, a pleasant day to everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Apollo. And I think we still have 2 minutes to give a question to our second presenter. So to Hello, ma'am, sir. I'm so sorry. I just lost my connection. So, if there is no question, let's continue to the sorry. Okay, so please, the volunteer, please help me to share.
A pleasant day to all. On behalf of my co-authors, Dr. Annabel Francisco and Mr. Efrain Hyacinth Chavez, I would like to present the result of our research entitled Salt Making as a Stunting Enterprise and Practice, the Case of Ilocos Sur, Philippines. My name is Noel Yamar, a faculty member of the Department of Development Communication, Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College. Salt as a multi-purpose mineral is a common need worldwide, but the salt-making industry is highly affected by climate change and the continuing over-dependence to age-old
Open
salt production
seen
methods, causing the
in the
industry's
screen.
continuous deterioration. In the Philippines, salt making in the 1990s has been a vibrant industry, with the provinces of Bulacan, Pangasinan, Occidental Mindoro, and Cavite being able to supply around 85% of the country's annual salt requirement. By 2010, however, production suddenly dropped to less than half. Many salt farms closed. Many were sold to land developers. Others were converted to alternative profitable avenues such as fish ponds, residential or commercial properties. Seeing no future in the salt farms, many children started migrating to the cities or abroad, leaving their elders no one to pass on the trade. To these days, the country depends on imports to keep up with local salt demands. To document the current circumstances of the salt farmers in the Ilocos Sur, Philippines, and confirm if indeed in this side of the country salt making is really a dying industry, this inquiry explored how salt making is viewed both as enterprise and as practice by the Ilocanos. The study used the multi-phase case study design. It employed convenient sampling, where interviewees were based on who were available during the time of the data gathering. As such, 6 participants from 2 communities, one in the municipality of Santa Maria and one in the city of Candon, served as the sources of data via focus group discussion style in-depth interviews. The participants were anonymized in the research to protect their privacy. Their communities were also coded as Barangay A and Barangay B in the study. Thematic analysis was employed to analyze the results, which provided for the emergence of 5 major themes, namely salt-making productivity situation, socio-economic essence of salt-making, marketing and financial realities in salt production, gender roles in salt-making practices, and intergenerational transfer of the salt-making knowledge, skill, and practice. Salt making in the 2 communities in general has low productivity due to the limited daily salt produced resultative from the traditional salt making practices and preferences by the salt makers, and the limited amount of equipment for brine boiling is affected in some ways by the limited manpower. The seasonal salt production brought about by the reliance on dry season to produce salt also affects the productivity. This low productivity level makes salt making a small-scale industry in the study sites, even though salt making has been the community's activity for how many decades now as revealed by the interviewees. Leached brine boiling method was preferred for the quality of salt produced, which is good for bagoong making. Daily produce averages from 12 to 18 salop for 2 to 3 cooking per day. Salt makers consume 2 to 3 hours per cooking set. Of the daily produce, 2 to 4 salop are sold per day at 50 pesos per salop. The salt makers rely on summer for the peak of their production, yet their livelihood preference changed during rainy days, with fishing, cage rearing, and agriculture as the other sources of income. This makes salt making as an alternative source of income rather than a primary one. Salt makers quite disliked the technology provided by the government for the quality of salt produced did not match their preference, hence a technology and need mismatch. Also, somehow, the salt makers lacked proper knowledge and skill on the introduced technology. As initially reflected in the first theme, salt making has been dichotomously regarded as the primary source of income on the one hand and a secondary source of income on the second hand. This result is both interesting and surprising for the communities under study, primarily because salt making here has been regarded as a low-income seasonal activity with low productivity, yet salt makers testify for its ability to sustain their financial needs. As a primary source, salt making is depended on for the acquisition of financial support for basic daily needs. As a secondary source, however, embracing the reality that salt making is seasonal, the residents have other jobs where they get support for their finances. The residents engage in per-day farm tasks where they are hired to plant or harvest crops like rice, peanut, corn, and others daily. As the community is situated along the seashore, some residents also do fishing for personal consumption and small-scale business. This puts salt making in a state of not dying but not growing either. In both communities, salt makers do not have a clear and solid marketing strategies to popularize and sell their products. They heavily rely on buyers and traders coming to their place, primarily the bagoong makers. Also, the communities have engaged in salt making for a long period already, but it is astonishing that their salt products remain unbranded with no proper packaging. Salt making the communities covered in the study has been existing for years, even decades, as this venture is a heritage from the owner's ancestors. Yet the usual issue raised was the lack of financial support for expansion with very limited or no government assistance. Relative to the study, interview data from the research sites reveal a quite dichotomous gender role reality in salt-making practices, where salt-making is seen as a prime task for men, with women as helpers and assistants on the one hand, and an opportunity for observing man-woman equality in performing salt-making activities on the other hand. Apparently, Barangay A, men dominated the salt-making process, with women serving as assistants and helpers. In Barangay B, however, some women are engaged in all the processes of salt making without the men's help. In this study, there were two contrasting scenarios of intergenerational transfer of salt-making knowledge, skills, and practice. The first scenario projects the presence of intergenerational connection, while the second one displays the presence of intergenerational gap. To conclude, the continuing situation of salt production in the areas covered in this study as low productivity, low income industry characterized by the presence of a growing intergenerational gap in the transfer of knowledge, skill, and practice in salt making indicates an impending total weakening, if not dying, of the industry in the coming years. Its existence for years without expanding despite its potentiality in sustaining the financial and socioeconomic needs of the salt makers signifies its stunting status. The initial step to this redevelopment of the salt production industry in the province is the need for attention from the authorities. So this study provides for the base data of the situation, which can be used in mapping out potential solutions to save the industry from its eventual death. Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry for all presenters. Currently, Miss Pujiati is having problem with the connection and trying to fix it. Maybe there are questions about the presenter 3. Any question?
Hello, dear participant. I'm so sorry for the inconvenient condition. So, yes, for the third presenter, I think it is still 2 minutes left. So, it is possible if we start a Q&A session. So, if there is a question for the third presenters, please welcome. Is there any question for the third presenter? Hello, ma'am, sir. Any question? Actually, in the end of this session, we will, we will read some question to our presenters. So please, to all the presenters here and also the participants, please prepare the question. All of you can text it in the chat box or deliver directly to our presenters. So yes, please prepare the questions. Hello, ma'am, sir. No questions? Okay, I think it is still no question to our third presenters. Okay, let's move to the next presenters, to Annabelle B. Francisco. I'm so sorry, I'm wrong. When I read when I read the third presenter is Annabelle Noel Elmar Efrain Yasin, and the fourth presenter is Annabelle B. Francisco. So for the volunteer, please help me to share the video.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Good day to everyone. This is Dr. Annabelle Francisco from Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College. And of course, I'm going to present to you my research titled Thriving as a Hybrid Medium, the Case of a Philippine Community Radio. So what made me conduct this study? Aside from the fact that I was the former station manager of Radyo Kailian, which is that CRS I am talking about here. Another thing which caught my attention is that the community radio that we have in our institution has also migrated into the online platform, while it retained its traditional platform, which is it still airs in the traditional platform. So the community radio, based on the literature that I have gathered, the community radio and internet combination presents a prospect to amalgam the best of the two media. So CRS can utilize technology to augment its production and to build a larger community. Of course, you can just imagine the reach of the online medium and of course the reach of the on-air medium. So combine the both, we could reach as many as we can. So aside from that, community radio needs to utilize these technologies to strengthen and nurture its existing community. Because of course, due to diaspora, people move, there's some mobility. So in order to reach for them, we have to use various forms of platforms in order to reach them. And one thing that we discovered is the use of both on-air and online medium. So aside from that, we all know that the internet offers new opportunities for diversification, segmentation, and interactivity in radio. So with this premise on what is known about community radio stations worldwide, I found out that there is a scarcity of literature which analyzes how this medium in particular has flourished in the new environment in the Philippine context. So little attention is given to as to how Philippine community radio stations as organizations are able to sustain their identity as community radio while they are being aired on air and online. So the most appropriate methodology for this inquiry is of course case study, since I was determined to investigate the structure, management, leadership, and programming and program content, human resources, and funding of Radyo Kailian, which is the radio station owned and operated by Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College in the northern part of the Philippines. So, who are the participants of the study? Present and former administrators of the Community Radio Council, its members, the announcers from 2008 to 2019. And also, I analyze the documents which are dated 2016 to 2018. These are the documents of the station's monitoring and evaluation results. So let's proceed to the results of the study. Now, in terms of organizational structure, what is very distinct for Radyo Kailian is it is composed of very small number of people. No? So with that number, there is a short bureaucratic process wherein it turns or it beefs up the internal processes. You don't need to talk to somebody and then channel to another, and then so with Radyo Kailian's very short bureaucratic process, the processes, internal processes, is very quick and very prompt. And another distinct characteristic of the organizational structure is the use of platforms, which are both traditional and emerging in their interaction. So it is very obvious that the channeling of information is very easy and accessible to its members because of the use of both traditional and emerging technologies. Now, in terms of leadership and management, Radyo Kailian is very proud that the former station manager of the station was actually the president of the college. So being the president, he has his own vision, mission, goals, and objectives. And since he was also the station manager of Radyo Kailian, that VMGO that he had was cascaded to the radio station. So having that clear mental picture of what the CRS is going through and what should it the journey, so with that, it's very the VMGO guided the station on where it is going and what are the objectives that it has to achieve. And another thing is Radyo Kailian is not managed only by the president itself. So he has a group of managers, and very significant there is the presence of unitary cognizance, teamwork, and collaboration. Now, in terms of programming and content, despite being a hybrid medium, Radyo Kailian continued to air developmental programs. So it is heard both on air and online, and it has retained its identity of being the voice of the marginalized sectors as evidenced by the multi-sectoral programming. So in terms of human resources, the radio station is managed by development communicators and information technology experts. So you could see there that in terms of content and in terms of information flow, these are being handled by the expert. And these people have rich training background. Now, in terms of funding, it cannot be denied that, of course, Radyo Kailian has insufficient budget. But despite the insufficiency of the budget, we discovered that there were practices conducted by the management, including the community officers, to endure this struggle. So what they are doing is they are involving the community officers and members in sourcing out a budget externally for the radio station. Now, based on these results, what are the conclusions and implications? So first, it must be led by a strong-willed, passionate, dedicated, upright, visionary leader or manager who ensures that there is an available and adequate budget for the community radio. The adequacy and availability of the budget results in 3 outcomes. Take note that the budget is used to hire qualified, trained, and competent personnel. Second, the budget can be used to serve as incentives. And the third one is, of course, to finance the expenses of the radio station. That's why budget is very, very important. Then another thing is a radio station or community radio to be hybrid must be managed by qualified and trained personnel having the competency, no, that they need. Now, an implication for this is delivery mode of the radio station is global since it's now online. But take note that the programming and program contents, no, are still local. That's why you could see they're local, no, in terms of the broadcast materials. And this is very significant for the sustainability of a community radio. That makes the identity intact. Another thing is digital literacy. The broadcasters and practitioners must be digitally literate, no, to protect them from potential threats of the hybrid platform. Research is very important because research can, in a form of evaluation, can, of course, define and give, no, important information or data in order to improve the general operation of the radio station. So thank you very much for your time in listening to my presentation. Good day to everyone.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Bell, for the valuable information about the research. So, dear participants, dear presenter, let's continue to the next presenter, the fifth presenter. So after this presenter, we have already five paper that have already present. So after this fifth presenter, let's continue with Q&A sessions. So after this session, let's continue with the Q&A sessions. Okay, to the volunteer, please help me to share the videos.
Good day, everyone. My name is Christian Zigantesa from Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College, and I'll be presenting my research paper entitled Language Fillers in Conversation of the Students, an Enhancement Language Program. Introduction. Language plays a vital role in our daily life and such is essential the progress of our communication. It is a tool to have an interaction in a conversation. It means that communication and language are two components that cannot be separated from human beings. This phenomenon is commonly called filler. Fillers are moments when someone pauses in speaking to think of what to say without giving the impression. In daily conversation, people often use eh, like, so, or similar expressions and many more. One of the difficulties, especially in the context of speaking, is the sudden state of mental block. Since it is easy sometimes for speakers make some pauses during speaking. Valente 2020, using the language also exceed with embarrassment-producing behaviors in the classroom, such as silence in response to teachers' questions, undue delay in the response, inarticulate response, and the resounding verse of language. Therefore, fillers are useful communication strategy. Following this line of thought, this is our intention in this research is the issue of one simple useful thought, neglected language strategy, fillers, and how fillers help the students to improve their communication skills. And the statement of the problem goal is to explore much such experiences in conversational analysis. Number one, the first goal is on how language fillers manifest in the conversations. The second goal was to look for the language fillers used by the students. Third goal is to discover the reasons for students using the fillers. And the fourth goal is to develop a language fillers enhancement program. The methodology of my research is the method used by the researchers is actual dialogue as primary data, discourse analysis in knowing the fluency and literacy of the language, The research also collected over a period of time using the sequential explanatory research design in 2 consecutive phases. The researcher first collects and analyzes the quantitative data. The study are related to the outcomes from the first quantitative phase. This research is psycholinguistic in nature, owing that the language, specifically fillers, were discovered on this paper. The participants consist of 18 students from the College of Teacher Education, major in English and Filipino. Through purposeful sampling, participants choose to look into the possible outcome of fillers as a part of the language in their communication skills. And this is done via online class or class consultation and recorded with the permission of the dean and the students. And my instrument of my study is a semi-structured interview to collect the necessary information, the participants' responses. Additionally, this study used consent letter to the participants as viewed beforehand due to ethical concerns. Next, result and discussions. As we can see, these are the part of speech used by the students. As we can see, noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, conjunction, interjection, adjective, and preposition. The table 1 shows that the most used language fillers in the part of speech were conjunction, with 24, 72.27% occurrences, followed by the verbs and adjectives with 23, 16.55% occurrences respectively. Language fillers appear in the conversation as part of the speech, and we can discover that students utilize fillers in their everyday tasks. Fillers are also evidences in some parts of the speech as evident in this table. This part of speech were used by the participants to express their emotions, feelings. This is caused by nervousness, happiness, hesitations, and others. The use of infrequent words and divided attention leading to anxiety of the language. The researcher also identified the repetition of words by the students. The repetition was noted repeatedly. Some language items to delay the production of information and to gain time in processing or retrieving the difficult item. And the second goal was to look the language fillers used by the students. We can see the kinds of fillers by use. Number 1 is non-word fillers. These are a, e, a, o, As we can see, the kinds of fillers or non-word fillers used by the students. And the highest is with 90 frequency. The next is filler expression like okay, alright, like, actually, so, relatively, probably, and basically. And the highest mean is okay with the 32.71%. And the third one is the praise fillers. These are I mean, you know what, that, you mean, I did so. And with the highest praise fillers is I mean, with 28.69%. The table shows that in the non-word fillers, it has 90 occurrences of unsynclicized fillers with 7.43 by the students. In the filler expression, it has 123 occurrences of unlocalized fillers of okay, with 10.12%. And most commonly used language filler, with phrase fillers, it has 68 using I mean, with 5.61. It was proven in the study of Palamongo 2016 the Asian students also produce more fillers. These are non-word fillers, expression, and expression fillers. It concludes that the student need to develop their confidence when interviewed and knowledge that enables them to know and how to say something. Their communicative competence should not involve just linguistic knowledge but cultural and interactional skills, as well as cited and Pablo 2016 as a language filler composure. Language filler composure, Participants use language fillers when they are nervous, divide their attentions, have stage fright, and are confused, which led them to use the language fillers in communication to increase their thoughts and ideas. The number one result of these reasons why students use language filler for them as a composure. Number two, language filler as a connection, because the participants use fillers to connect ideas, thoughts, and experiences. They pause and think and what to say or persuade about given topic and situation. The participants repeatedly utilize fillers, which she has remediated and is now under repair. This is used because it gives them extra to figure out what to say next. It is similar also to the study of Clark and Fox and Trees 2002. Number 3 reason. Language fillers as confidence. Using those fillers makes me comfortable. Okay, they makes them comfortable when speaking, especially when they need to think about an answer or for something. It allows them to take second and think what I'm going to say next. And this also proven by the study of Sajai 2021 for an English teacher learner, though it can be a constructive way to speak more fluently and confidently. It is considered a good idea to use a few filler words as possible in interviews and professional settings. Number 3 or number 4, language fillers as natural. The key is to use them naturally and effectively. Santos et al. 2016 state that language fillers are part of natural and spontaneous speech. Fillers is a signal of cognitive process in the speaker's mind, showing that thinking process can derive from creation to speech production. These are the goal why the students use language fillers. Next goal is to make an enhancement training program. As we can see, language as a friends, because we let students in our class utilize fillers in their regular talks. It allows individuals to freely express themselves and regulate their speaking abilities because fillers are everyone's best buddy when it comes to language. Fillers as recognition. Let the students share their ideas, thoughts, and experiences, and since it is a natural and unique approach for them to recognize their own ideas, thoughts, and experiences. Can be also an experience because let the students enjoy or utilizing the language fillers, otherwise they may become scared, uncomfortable, reluctant, or confused while chatting, especially in class or informal settings, because they express themselves honestly using the language. The participants also feel free to express themselves when using the language fillers such as habits, unconsciousness, intimidation, and some sensations of satisfactions. However, they make every effort to utilize the language as effectively as possible. Next, make the language filler as a training. Let the students use language filler as a springboard for brainstorming new ideas. It is a communication tool. Filling it the blanks enables you to decide, improve your thinking, practice your vocabulary. Further, students may take several steps to increase their abilities to manage the usage of filler words. In the discussion of this study, language as a friends, recognitions, experience, and training. Why? Will be greatly helping the students in their conversational activities. It will help them to be effective and efficient speakers through the use of fillers. This will serve as a strategy ability during their oral expositions. From the result of the study, it also was proven by the study of Tabula 2014 that fillers are an effective oral strategy in speaking and to manage their communication anxiety. Conclusion: there is a little pause since there are non-consensual words, but it aids the participants in thinking and keeping the lines flowing. Finally, language enhancement program, language friends, language recognition, language experience, and a training were developed to assist the students in becoming more effective and efficient speakers during their oral expositions and more activities to do. Students enhance their speaking skills using the language fillers. It can give them confidence, enjoyment, fluency in the language, in giving their thoughts, ideas, and experiences that will enrich their macro skill and speaking. Using different oral speaking strategy, it gives them to enhance their language skills abilities. Recommendations. The results of this study would provide language teachers with a strategy to develop the language ability and speaking of the students through various speaking activities. They may also include language fillers. Speakers should also remember that listeners are not harsh as they are made out to be. With this knowledge, the speaker should relax a little bit, knowing that they are own words critics. These are my references of my study. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you so much for the valuable presentation, Sir Christian. And now let's continue to the Q&A session. So we have around 10 minutes in this session. So please, dear participants, please give a question to our presenters that have already shared their work before. So yes, please give the questions. We wait for the question to our presenters actually. Ma'am Annabelle not present, not available in here, but it's okay if there is a question. I will send it by email to her. Okay. Any questions? Hello, ma'am, sir. Is there any question? Hello, dear participants, dear presenters, ladies and gentlemen, is there any questions? Actually, start with the beginning. We wait for the question to our presenters. So please prepare the questions to our presenters. Perhaps from the volunteer, Natasha. Is there any question, Natasha?
Moderator. Dokter. Moderator. Can I ask? Dokter
Yes, hello, Sir Giovanni.
Yes. Can I ask about the presenter before?
Okay, of course. Please, sir.
Yeah.
To the first, second, or third presenter?
The last
Okay.
presenter.
The last presenter. So to the Sir Christian. Okay.
Yes. I have question. How to create some condition? How to create some condition about the presenter talk about how to make a student share the idea. So I have a question: how to make a condition to push the student share the idea with the topic? That's my question. Miss?
Yes, so Sir Giovanni asked to the last presenter, the fifth presenter, the question is how to make the condition to push the students share the idea, right, sir?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's my question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Giovanni. And actually, the fifth presenter not available in this panel session, sir. And I will give this question to him by email. It is okay, sir?
Okay.
Sir
Okay.
Giovanni?
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, sir. Okay, is there any question again, Bapak Ibu, sir, ma'am? Is there any question? Okay, is there any question again, sir, ma'am? Any questions to our previous presenter? Hello? Yes, for Sir Giovanni, thank you so much, sir. I think it is the first question to our presenters. Okay, now how if we move to the next presenter? Is it okay?
Okay. Next presenter.
Okay, yes, next presenter, six presenters. Who the six presenters? The sixth presenter is Sir Angel Bird P. Mangaldan, but actually I haven't received these videos. Is the fifth presenter already here? Okay, I think the sixth presenter have not already here. So please continue to the next presenter again, Natasha. Seventh presenter. So this is the seventh presenter from Ma'am Sanidat. Okay, please, ma'am.
Of the evaluators, presenters, and participants, a pleasant day to all. It is my privilege to present our research output entitled Socioeconomic Status Affecting Smallholder Farming in the Unbanked Municipality of Sugpur, Ilocos, its implication to Financial Literacy Training Program. Yours truly, Remely A. Sanidad, and my co-researchers are the following: Prexy Ramboa, Milagros Liberato, Perlita Tomas, Peter Porlaso, and Sosimo Liberato. As a start, most people live in rural areas and are dependent on agriculture for their livelihood, and we know that agriculture is one source of Philippine economy. The Philippine government then had launched different approaches to reach our farmers, particularly in the unbanked municipalities in the country, through an integrated and innovative strategy. This is one of the approaches for smallholder agriculture that needs to be implemented, contributing to higher productivity and income. As shown in the statistics from World Bank, nearly half of the world's farmers are unbanked. These statistics are worrying, given the evidence linking financial inclusion to poverty, particularly in availing personal loan, or what we call loan sharks. Sugpon is one of those unbanked municipalities that could not avail of assistance particularly government loans and comprehensive savings program. The municipality of Sugpun, composed of 9 barangays, 3 of whom are under boundary dispute with the municipalities of Bakun and Kibungan in the province of Benguet, with a total land area of 182.2 square kilometers. Sugpun is an agricultural community, and the people are small farm owner cultivators whose crops are rice, corn, kamote, gabi, legumes, and both native and Virginia varieties. Understanding the socio-economic trends, problems met by smallholder farmers from Sugpun, Ilocosur will be the baseline information for the government in the access of any assistance program and other benefits derived from it. What are the objectives of the study? To determine the socio-demographic economic status and farming profile, and to determine the problems encountered by the smallholder farmers as basis for providing financial literacy program. In terms of its methodology, this is a descriptive research design used to determine the socio-demographic economic characteristics of smallholder farmers in the unbanked municipality of Sugpun, Ilocosur, with a total population of 1,319 and a sample population of 307 respondents using random sampling. Documentary analysis was also utilized since the data was needed as indicated in the registry system for the basic sector on agriculture. And for the statistical analysis, we use simple frequency count and rank were also utilized. Based on the result of the study, this came out with the following. For the socio-demographic profile, most of the respondents are 74.59%, indicating that farmers in the Sugpun have been predominantly male-oriented to do more works in the field. As to their age, mostly the respondents belong to the age bracket from 39 to 59 years of age. As to civil status, most of the farmers are married, with an overall percentage of 78.50% as compared to single and widow or separated status. In terms of household size, most of the registered farmers claim that they are the head of the family with 75.24%, while 24.76% registered farmers are not the household head. Almost half of the respondents are members of the four-piece beneficiaries, with 40.39% and 59.61% are members of the four-piece beneficiaries. There are also two indigenous groups in Sugpun, Ilocosur. One is Bago and the other is Kankanai. The Bago is the dominant dialect in the two barangays of Balbalayang and Pangutan. They are called the hill tribes dwellers in the border regions between Ilocos and Cordillera Mountains, who are the offsprings of intermarriages, as well as the product of trade between mountain tribes of the Cordillera and the Iloco of the lowlands, meaning their offsprings are called Bago or Neopine. Kankanai as dominant dialect of Barangay Banga, Kawayan, and Danak. Likungan are pure Igorot of the north. They are only identified by their dialect they speak and the intonation and usage of some words and where the provinces they came from. Most of the farmer respondents are members of the Farmers Organization, followed by Irrigators Association. Most of the respondents are farmers who own the land they till, with a percentage of 79.15% and only 19.67% are farm workers. In terms of farming profile, rice is the major crop of the farmers in Sugpun, Ilocosur. Alternate with rice, most farmers planted corn as the other crops after the rice harvest, followed by planting legumes and root crops. Since they are mainly dependent on irrigation facilities, other farmlands are not feasible for rice in the second cropping, so legumes and root crops are planted. As to animal production, all the barangays in the municipality were involved in livestock. Only two barangays of Banga and Likungan were identified to engage in poultry raising. On the problems encountered, first, limited funds to finance their needed agricultural supplies and materials resulting to personal loan or what we call loan sharks. Second, limited transportation facilities, that is farm to market roads and bridges. Third, no infrastructure and facilities that could reduce the transaction cost and extend the shelf life of their product. And the last is the pressing conditions in agricultural markets and for products in areas where observed decline and the lack of growth potential. For the conclusion, registered farmers are mostly male. They are indeed aging, mostly married, household, and not registered farmers are members of the Porpoise family, beneficiaries. Kankanae and Bago are the two existing indigenous groups in the municipality, mostly members of the Farmers Association and are considered farmer owners of the land they till. Rice is also the major crop in the locality and is mostly engaged in livestock production. Problems encountered by farmers are limited funds to finance their needed agricultural inputs while maintaining a continuous flow of farm products. For the recommendation, to avail of the services of the government bank, financial literacy program for farmers is recommended. This will help the poor farmers in the unbanked areas to develop their knowledge and to manage their finances to become more aware of risks and opportunities. Government support for infrastructure and market development in the upland areas is highly suggested. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Remily. Yes, for your valuable information based on your research. Let's continue to the eighth presenter. Also, Ma'am Remily Sandida. So let's continue to the next video. Please, the volunteer, please play the video.
To our panel of evaluators and participants, a pleasant day to all. It is my privilege to present our research output entitled Exploring the Food and Cultural Significance of Native Chicken in Ilocos Sur. Yours truly is Katrina Zarazawa from Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College, and my co-researcher is Dr. Remely Sanidad. Philippine native chicken has been the main source of meat and eggs for Filipino farmers. Due to its relatively low fat and cholesterol content, chicken meat is well acknowledged as a healthy animal food when compared to other meats. But despite native chicken's good flavor and unique meat properties, many consumers still limit the buying behavior for native chickens because of its premium price. Being free-range, native chicken is generally perceived as pre-antibiotics and other synthetic chemical residues. This justifies the premium price offered for native chicken over that of its commercial hybrid counterpart. In rural communities, native chicken is not only consumed but also used extensively in rituals performed to appease God, the spirits of ancestors and native, to ward off demons and evil spirits, and to get rid of bad luck. With the aforementioned scenario, it is believed that exploring the food and cultural implications is one way to examine the practices in the use of native chicken, showing the socio-cultural significance to rural communities. This research study is intended to explore the food and cultural significance of native chicken in Ilocos Sur. Specifically, it sought to gather information on the demographic characteristics of native chicken respondents in terms of the following: sex, age, civil status, number of family members, source of income, and monthly income. Another objective is to assess the native chicken respondent preferences in terms of buying preferences and food preferences. Number 3 is to determine the cultural beliefs and utilization of native chicken as to food and rituals. Number 4 objective is to gather recommendations on the future development of native chicken and to determine problems encountered in the utilization of native chicken. For the methodology, the study employed the mixed method using qualitative and quantitative research design. A structured interview schedule was used to gather primary data from the respondents and to dig deeper on the food cultural practices and beliefs on the use of native chicken. In terms of sampling method, a purposive sampling was used in identifying the respondents, consisting of 108 native chicken growers and consumer participants of various ages from the 4 municipalities of the 2nd District of Ilocos Sur. To facilitate the uploading questionnaire, a request letter was forwarded to the local government units through the Municipal Agrarian Office. On the qualitative part, coding and categorizing the responses into major conceptual areas were done. The data gathered were statistically treated with frequencies, percentages, and rank order. For the results and discussion, in terms of the demographic characteristics of native chicken, most of the respondents are female. This may be because the males are busy in their farming since most of them are farmers. Female respondents said that most of them are out-of-school youth and the rest are members of the Poor Peace beneficiaries. As to age level, most of the respondents belong to the age bracket of 41 to 50 years old, followed by the age bracket of 31 to 40. This means that this group are mature enough to do the work, particularly the preparation of foods and some rituals. In terms of status, majority of them are married. Married individuals tend to be concerned on how to prepare food and provide the basic health needs of the family. As regards to the number of family members, the table displays that the majority of the respondents belong to the range of 4 to 6 members, followed by the 1 to 3 family members. This indicates that the native chicken respondents belong to an average number where most of the families can afford to maintain a living, either in economic and social well-being. Meanwhile, majority of them are self-employed, indicating that respondents are capable of earning a living by generating income at their own initiatives and perseverance. Lastly, most of the respondents are earning a money income with an average of lower than 5,000 pesos. According to them, the amount they earn is just enough for the family. In terms of the native chicken preferences, most of the respondents claim that they are buying native chicken, and the rest said that they are raising native chicken. This denotes that there is a need to introduce the raising of native chicken in the different municipalities. The introduction of native chicken on free range is self-sufficient and healthier, where they are free to look for their own food. When asked regarding the food preferences, they claim that all the family members eat native chicken, and the rest of the respondents responded that they are not eating native chicken. As shown in the table, the native chicken were prepared and cooked locally for family occasions or for ordinary meals served daily. Dishes prepared using native chicken were tinola, followed by adobo, sapsapuriket, and prito, and the least prepared was binakol and sarabasag. These native dishes were common as family food, particularly served during meals. In terms of food cultural beliefs, the respondents stated that native chicken is being consumed as dish for mothers during postnatal period. This indicates that eating native chicken during postnatal period or tanggad, particularly serving native chicken soup to mothers, is believed to help promote lactation. In addition, the meat of the hen is also served to women who underwent labor recently, and it was believed that the meat is not only easy to digest but also helps them recover quickly. Aside from this, native chicken was also prepared, cooked, and served after planting rice or lamusa. Aside from that, it can also be consumed as food to restore strength after sickness and considered as a sign of hospitality. On the cultural beliefs and practices in the use of live native chicken, based on the result of the interview, live native chicken were sacrificed and used mostly for folk healing, a traditional medicine for witchcraft and black magic. Either the black or red chicken is used to extricate someone from the spell of witchcraft and black magic. This is also followed by utilizing native chicken during the wake or burial. Any type of chicken is sacrificed after 3 days of the demise of any family member if one of the family member gets sick. The native chicken are also sacrificed to mark the start of agricultural activities like harvesting and cultivating the land. For the recommendations on the development of native chicken, when the respondents were asked about the recommendations, most of them suggested that dressed chicken, whether fresh or frozen, be available in the market, followed by the development of value-added products like native chicken cubes or broth, native chicken barbecue or roasted, sapsapuriket in bottle, tinola mix, and native chicken longanisa. The list is the native chicken itak. On the problems encountered in the use of native chicken, based on the respondents' view, limited supply of native chicken in the market or difficult to find is considered as rank number 1, followed by the price is expensive and no dressed native chicken meat found in the market, which is rank number 3. The least problem encountered is that native chicken is different to cook. With the recommendations and suggestions solicited from the respondents, in spite of its huge potential, the native chicken industry challenged everybody. the need to undertake production studies to address the above cited problems. Based on the above-mentioned results, the following conclusions were drawn. Majority of the native chicken respondents are female, age ranges from 41 to 50 years old, married with 4 to 6 family members, self-employed, and have a monthly income below 5,000 pesos. Respondents' buying preferences for native chicken are originally grown, have unique taste, have low-fat content, leanness, and pigmentation of the meat, while tinola and adobo are the consumer's food preferences. The consumption of native chicken is an important source of high-quality protein food, and its utilization largely depends upon the occasion it's served. Native chicken have sociocultural, religious, and medicinal significance among rural communities and also occupy a very special place in the ancient culture and traditions of the Ilocano. And last, supply of the native chicken in the market is limited. For the recommendations, a need for dissemination and the importance of native chicken in terms of food and buying preferences. Native chicken has great contributions to culture, art, cuisine, science, and religion. Therefore, it necessitates to be preserved. New cooking or value-added native chicken products to be developed as additional income or for commercialization. The dressed native chicken, either fresh or frozen, is recommended for commercialization. And raising of native chicken, cater to the demand of customers, can be attained by proper dissemination on the importance of native chicken production. And that ends my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for Ma'am Remerly and also Dr. Katrina. Let's continue to the next presenter. There is Ma'am Florence de Sembrano. So after this 10 presenter, let's continue again with the Q&A sessions. Okay, for the 9 presenter, the next presenter is Ma'am Florence de Sembrano. So the volunteer, please help me to play the video.
To our panel of evaluators and participants,
Good morning, everyone. I am Mrs. Florence D. Sembrano from Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College, Santa Maria, Ilocos Sur. I'll be presenting my research on dormitory practices, input for a functional dormitory manual. Living away from home is the first step for our students to understand what it will mean to be independent. Many colleges and universities offer on-campus living as a response and ease this transition. The opportunity to live in a controlled environment filled with unique resources provides optimum conditions for academic success. On this note, the Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College has offered dormitories for several decades now. It aims to provide a home away from home among students from far residences, providing quality and excellent dormitory services responsive to the holistic development of residents, and having the fortes of being a dormitory dean and having studied the significance of a well-designed dormitory practices in the academic performance of dormitory residents, the researcher sees it vital to assess the implementation of dormitory practices in ISPSC. This study was conducted to assess the implementation of dormitory practices as an input for functional ISPSC dormitory manual. Specifically, it aimed to determine the profile of dormitorians, assess the level of implementation of dormitory practices, analyze the relationship between and among the respondents' profiles and level of implementation of dormitory practices, and formulate a functional ISPSC dormitory manual based on the results of the study. In view of the concerns of the present investigation, qualitative method with the descriptive survey type of research design was used. The respondents were the 54 dormitoryans of ISPSC Santa Maria campus enrolled during the academic year 2019-2020, and a survey questionnaire covering 6 dormitory practices constructed by the researcher, which was used in her master's thesis, was adopted in this present study. Frequency counts, percentage, and mean was used to determine the level of implementation of dormitory practices among the dormitory of ISPSC. And the Pearson R correlation coefficient to assess the relationship between and among the respondents' profiles and the level of implementation of dormitory practices. Among the 54 dormitoryans, 74% were females and 26% were males, comprising of 35% first year, 43% second year, 13% third year, and 9% fourth year college students. Regarding socioeconomic status, 94% of the dormitoryans belong to the poor to low income but not poor class, while 4% from the lower middle income class and 2% from the upper income but not wealthy to wealthy class. 81% of the dormitoryans stayed in the dormitory for 0 to 2 years, while 19% stayed for more than 3 or more years in the dormitory. The majority of the respondents, that is 52%, came from outside Ilocos Sur, 24% from the 2nd District of Ilocos Sur, 19% from the interior municipalities of Ilocos Sur, and 5% from the 1st District of Ilocos Sur. The results manifested that most dormitoryans of ISPSC were female in the lower year levels, came from low-income families, stayed in the dormitories for less than 2 years, and came from far homes from ISPSC that they opted to stay in the dormitories. The overall level of implementation of dormitory practices of ISPSC is presented in Table 1, showing a high level of implementation. Disciplinary practices ranks the highest among the 6 dormitory practices with a mean of 4.43, described as an advanced level of implementation, while religious practices with a mean of 3.8, described as a high level of implementation, ranked last. This also proves that dormitory practices are highly implemented in ISPSC dormitory. Further, this finding implies that ISPSC earnestly adheres to its vision as an institution for total development in all the services offered. Table 2 contains the data on the relationship between and among the respondents' profiles and the level of implementation of dormitory practices. Based from the given results, sex has a significant negative correlation between the level of implementation of disciplinary dormitory practices. This implies that female respondents had a higher and stricter implementation of disciplinary dormitory practices compared to their counterparts. As a result of this study, a dormitory practice manual was crafted as an input to the implementation of a functional dormitory practices of Ilocos Sur Polytechnic State College. This manual aims to provide basic information about dormitory practices and the rules and policies governing dormitory management. With this, the dormitorians are provided with safe, healthy, religious, and accommodating home and family-like environment, especially to achieving the educational outcomes, thus attaining ISPSC dormitory mission to produce responsible, highly competent, well-disciplined, and God-fearing dormitorians. Thus, the following conclusions were made based on the findings of the study. Most of the respondents are female, lower year levels, came from poor to low-income earner families, have spent 0 to 2 years in the dormitories, and came from homes outside of Ilocos Sur. The level of implementation of dormitory practices of ISPSC along the areas of social, time management, and disciplinary practices was at advanced level of implementation, while study period, religious and guidance and counseling practices were highly implemented. There was a significant negative correlation between sex and the level of implementation of dormitory practices, disciplinary practices. A dormitory manual was crafted as an input to implement functional dormitory practices of ISPSC. The researcher recommends the following: that ISPSC campus dormitories should adopt the dormitory manual conscientiously, and the follow-up studies on the impact of dormitory practices on the academic performance of the students. And presenting also to you are the references that the researcher used in her study. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, for Ma'am Florence de Sembrano. So let's continue to the next presenter. That is Sir Sandy Rahmadika, that will be presented by Sir Giovanni, right? Okay, sir, the time is yours.
Yes, thank you, moderator. Let me sharing this presentation. Okay, I don't have a video. I will live presentation right now. Thanks a lot for moderator, Miss Pujiati. You look so great today. Anyone, presenter? Let me to present about the title, User Interface Analyzed on a Job Matching Information System using 8 Golden Rules. We have 5 teams in here. So I'm the second co-author for this paper. Okay, we have 5 steps in this presentation. We start from introduction. In this study, we aim to create a standard interface for information system that will be used in a vocational school. In this case, we use the job matching information system for SMK graduates. So in this study, we create some information system. Information system have a lot step and a lot participation in here. So we develop this system, pay attention to principle of the human-computer interface. The third, use the 8 golden rules method or the 8 golden rules principle. A study was conducted on job matching from system by looking at these opportunities. So in research method, we use Schneiderman 8 golden rules. Schneiderman 8 golden rules is a method using X variable to deliver significant benefit with their X heuristic. Interface must be well designed and user-friendly to improve user usability. So we need to make a standard for create information system in level vocational school. The research question and technique, we use study literature, determining research variable, determining data source, determining research instrument, population, data processing, analyze, conclusion, and suggestion. So we have system appearance, the graphical user interface on the job matching information system. So this is what we study about the interface. In order to enter the main menu, the user require file, NASN, and password. So we create some authority to take some information system. There are several menus on the job matching information. This is what interface look like. We use many color in this information system. So this is user interface for design user dashboard. We try to make some text with this interface using X variable. And this is the X variable. The data respondent we try to SMKN2 in West Sumatra. Graduate is Padang Panjang. And the questionnaire distribute to graduate about X variable. So we study about X variable. The first one consistency, second shortcut, the third feedback for closure dialogue, the 5 simple error handling, 6 reversible action, 7 putting the user in control, 8 reducing short-term load. So the X variable make study this using golden rules. This is what we have in score using X golden rules. In X variable, we try to some analyze. So we have the shortcut have a low score because shortcut make easy to using some information system. So we create some many shortcuts about this information system after this score have in team. Our user interface design is good enough to be applied in the actual work. What the meaning is the user interface in using golden rules have a good standard for a vocational school who will make information system. The second conclusion is where the lowest score is set to 15 and the highest score is 200. So in the score in 15 to 200, we have many advice to improve the interface. The third, Snyderman Egg golden rules are suitable to be a backbone of this research. Since the golden rules point can reach the research question of this paper. For future works, we consider adding more feature and to be analyzed with various approach. So we will use many variables to improve the standard about user interface in vocational school using information system. That's my presentation this day. Thank you very much. Welcome to moderator.
Thank you so much, Sir Giovanni, for your valuable information about your research. So, dear participants, dear presenter, we go to the next, the second Q&A session. So, please give the question to our presenters. Last presenter, please yes, you can give your question directly, or you can text it in the chat box. Okay, please. Today we have Sir Giovanni, the presenter, have already available in this room. Sir Florence, Ma'am Florence also available in this room. So please give a question to our presenters previously. Is there any question? Hello, sir, ma'am. Is there any question? Ma'am Florence, I have already in this room. Ma'am Remily also, Sir Giovanni also available in this room. So, is there any question? Okay, I want to ask to Sir Giovanni. Actually, my background is not in this area, but I want to ask about the Golden 8 rules. Yes, sir. What point, how effective each point from the 8 golden rules in this project, sir? Perhaps any point dominate.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
My voice.
Yes.
Okay. A golden rules is variable, make a standard for this interface. So I will make some like in this when you using some system in web based on website, you look like this boring website or it's so difficult to using them. So in this study, we create some standard about interface. We create some standard about interface using this 8 golden rules. So 8 golden rules have 8 variable for standard create interface design with digital product like that.
Okay, I see. Can we cut or leave some point from the 8 golden rules to produce the kind of this project, sir? Can we leave or cut some point?
What do you mean about we just use 5 variable?
Yes,
like
perhaps 5 or
when we use cut off a variable, we doesn't have maximal to conclusion the interface. So we will make bad difficult bad habits in interface system. So we cannot cut off the variable. So we must have score in X variable like that.
So it is must we use the 8 variable. So this is why the 8 rules called with the golden. Yes. So if we have 10 or 11 variable, we can call with diamond.
Yes, of course.
Okay, I just kidding.
many theory
Okay,
for
thank
that.
you. Okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, perhaps, is there any question again? Is there any question again? Okay, dear presenters, is there any question again to the other presenters? I think this group is so silent because last question. Perhaps Sir Giovanni wanted to ask to the other presenters.
Sorry, just enough for today.
Okay, sir. Yes, thank you so much. So then, let's continue to the next presenter. Yes, the next presenter is in 11, right? Natasha. Okay. Okay. The next presenter is, okay. I will invite the next presenter is Ni Ketut Pertiwi. Is the presenter available here? Oh, yes. Ma'am, Niketit. Okay, the time is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Pujiati. So, okay, let me share the PowerPoint. Is it available? Can you see my PowerPoint, Miss Pujiati?
Yes, ma'am. It's already.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank the committee for providing the time and the conference. So, I am Nikotut Patiwi Anggreni. I would like to present my research article entitled The Readiness of Elementary School Students in Following Face-to-Face Learning During the COVID-19 Pandemic. So this is a collaboration with my friends, Ibu Kristi Ningsih. So we are from Universitas PGRI Jakarta. So yeah, let's jump to the topic. Our background of the study is that in the beginning of 2020, we got hit by the COVID-19 virus. And the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted so many sectors, right? Including education. So the implementation of education had to be shifted from the conventional one, in which the education is held in face-to-face learning at school, and then we need to change it into online learning at home. So online learning that is held spontaneously and unplanned affects students' learning process. It is because the unprepared lesson plan, of course, the teachers did not have enough time to prepare the lesson plan. They did not have time to change the lesson plan from activities at school to activities online at home. And then also both teachers and students got lack of motivation because during online learning, we only face our device, our laptop. So there were less social interactions, and then spontaneously and unplanned lesson plan also resulting lack of control in students' learning outcomes. Mostly in the first semester of online learning, the students' learning outcomes got worse because they have to adapt fast with the new environment, with the new situation. So the learning outcomes got worse. And then fortunately, after almost 2 years, the vaccination has been invented, and our government has instructed us, the citizens of Indonesia, as well as the kids above 5 years old, to get full vaccination, double vaccinations. It is as one of the requirements to open the public area, including educations. So in order to open school, we have to follow through phases of face-to-face learning after the vaccination. The first phase is transition period. It lasts for 2 months from the start of limited face-to-face learning in educational units. And after the transition period is completed, then we can finally open the school and face-to-face learning can be applied into a new normal habit. It is taught by the joint decree of the Minister of Education and Culture, Minister of Religion, Minister of Health, and Minister of home affairs based on the guidelines for the implementation of learning during the coronavirus disease, COVID-19. So the purpose of our study is because our students and our teachers, our educational stakeholders, after being almost 2 years in an online school, and then we are forced to be in a new situations, in a new face-to-face learning after or during pandemic. So there was face-to-face learning at school before pandemic, and then during pandemic is way too different, right? We have the students and the teachers and also the stakeholders need to follow the regulations and the rules, and it is not as easy as we can think. So the purpose of the study is to determine the readiness of elementary school students in Jakarta, South Jakarta, whether they are ready to participate in face-to-face learnings, seen from the health protocols understanding and their motivation. So this study focuses on two reflections of their readiness. The first one is whether they understand the health protocols well, and the second one is whether they get motivated in participating face-to-face learning. And the method conducted in this study is a case study using qualitative method by describing the results of questionnaire survey given to the students. And we took 30 students of elementary school in Jakarta purposely based on the reachable regions as our sample of the study. So let's jump to the result of the study. The first point of the study, the result of the study is the students' readiness. Seeing from the aspect of understanding health protocols, whether they understand the health protocols or not. As you can see here, there are 5 questions. There are 5 questions discovering the understanding of students in health protocols. As we can see that most students already understand health protocols at schools. Most or dominant answers are positive. Dominant answers are positive. Unfortunately, there are still students who have not received the complete vaccine. As you can see in the table, there are 2 respondents who have not received full vaccine. So it is highly recommended for them, for those who have not got double vaccinations, to get the vaccinations, to complete their vaccinations, because in order to join the face-to-face learning at school, they have to get vaccinated fully, double vaccinations. And then in addition, there are still students who are not used to carrying masks and hand sanitizers. As we know, masks and hand sanitizers are our mandatory health equipments. We have to bring masks and hand sanitizer everywhere, anywhere, anytime we go out. So masks and hand sanitizers are a must. And there are still 5 respondents who answered they are used to holding hands to the teachers and friends. Holding hands, or we call it in Bahasa Indonesia, salim. Yeah? Holding hands is a habit in our school environment in Indonesia. So it takes time to change the habit of holding hands into change the habit of holding hands or salim into namaste, or joining your palm like this. So it has so the students and the teachers need time to change those to change the habit. And then the next 4 questions reflects the understanding how the students respond and react if they get sick or their friends get sick. Answer A is the correct answer, which indicates that students understand the health protocol well, while answer B is an inaccurate answer, indicating students do not understand health protocol during face-to-face learning at school. So for example, here, there are 30 students, or all respondents responds positive or responds correctly to the question number 1. What will they do when they get cough and fever at school? Their response answer A, which the answer is go home and report to teacher. And then also 27 respondents answers correctly. to the questions number 2, what will they do when they see their friends are having fever and cough at school? They answered, report to the teacher and stay their distance. And the rest also, there are most of the respondents answered positive to the question. So it is concluded that the students already understand how to maintain their health protocols at school. And then the second point, or the second reflections of their readiness in participating face-to-face learning at school is whether they get motivated to go back to school to join the face-to-face learning at school. So there are 6 questions here. And based on the results of the respondents' answers, it can be concluded that all students are more enthusiastic in participating in learning together with friends at school. Of course, they can play with their friends, they can have a chit chat with their friends. So it gets them more enthusiastic and more motivated to go to school. This can be seen from 30 students responding yes to the question number 1. Are you more excited when studying with friends? And then in addition, students are also better able to understand learning if it is explained directly by the teacher. Why? Because the students can see the hand gesture or the physical gesture by the teachers, and they can also share their thoughts directly, seeing the facial expression directly, and it gets them easier to understand and to digest the learning materials. Thus, the enthusiasm obtained by students in direct learning also affects the value of their learning evaluation. So it is recommended for the next research to go on the topic of how the learning outcomes after face-to-face learning during the pandemics. And then next, the conclusion. So based on the result and the discussion of our study, it is concluded that elementary school students in Jakarta are ready to participate in face-to-face learning because they are already understand the health protocols, how to maintain the health protocols at school, and they already get the motivation to go back to the school. Although most of the respondents are positive to the readiness of students to take part in face-to-face learning at school, socialization and reminders are still needed for students to comply more with health protocols. This is to avoid virus transmission during face-to-face learning because COVID-19 is still existing here in this earth. So we have to keep maintaining our health protocols, even though the number of people got infected are way decreased nowadays. And then in addition, the role of parents and guardians of students is also very important, especially to teach the student how to maintain health at home and equip students with the healthy living behavior and provide them with the healthy living equipment such as masks and hand sanitizers, and also soap for them to wash their hands everywhere whenever they go out of home. So that was our research article. I hope it can be a reference for the next research regarding face-to-face learning at school during and after pandemic of COVID-19. So thank you very much for the time given. I will give the floor back to the moderator, Ms. Pujiati. Thank you very much, Ms. Pujiati.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Nikatut, for your valuable information based on this research. So interesting. Okay, thank you so much. Let's continue to the next presenters. That is Wait, I will read for the next presenter. The next presenter is Didi Zainuddin. Is the presenter already here? Okay, it's okay. Volunteer, please help me to play the video.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, I am Didi Zainuddin. I am from Universitas PGRI. I want to read the result from the research. The chapter is factor affecting domestic investment in DKI Jakarta and West Java province. Next, this study aim to determine and analyze the influence simultaneously or partially between the variable inflation, exchange rate, and regional spending on domestic investment, or we say PMDN. And then from this research, it can be concluded that the independent variable, exchange rate, and regional expenditure, they have significant effect if they're together. And then the keyword from this research is inflation, exchange rate, regional expenditure, and domestic investment. Next, the introduction from this research. We know the investment in Jakarta and in West Java is they have some fluctuative investment, especially in direct investment or domestic investment. And then if we see the argo of the education from the other sample in other country, the big investment coming to Indonesia, basic by maybe the age, education, marital status, personal saving, inflation rate, public investment, and existence of investment incentive. It means if we see the investment coming to our country, that is need other variable to make the person want to invest the money in his place or in his country, especially in Jakarta or in West Java. And then research method. This research is use panel data regression analysis. That is the existing panel data. I use the sample from BPS, and then the period is from 2000 until 2018. By sample in Jakarta and West Java as province, the big province in Java. So the variable in the multiple regression model we can see is inflation as X1, exchange rate as X2, regional expenditure is X3, and then PMDN or direct investment is Y. So the result from this decision, requirement regression analysis is carried out through the classic assumption. The test, multi-collinearity test, heterochronicity test, and the autocorrelation test, the normality test, testing the regression model whether it's normally distributed or not. The result of the normality test in the table 3 get assumption that value the sigtile in the table for X1 is 0.702 and then X2 is 0.156 and x3 0.852 bigger than from 5% or 0.05 is that the data come from population that has normal distribution. This is based on the opinion which that the multicollinearitas. Example, we can see from x1 is 1.521 and then x2 2.145 and x3 is 2.299 smaller than 5, mean that the regression model does not have collinearitas or does not experience multicollinearitas, or we say low collinearitas. The picture above is a residual scatter diagram with the difference between the predicted value and observation. The decision on the scatter diagram above, and then this can be said the regression does not experience heteroscedasticitas. If we see the Durbin-Watson is 2.54 to bigger than 1.46. Then there is no autocorrelation disorder, which can also be seen from the residual graph above. And then next is from the table above, the result obtained are the table. The table is 2.0 or 0 to 1, and T count is x1 is minus 2.006 and T count x2 is 2.006. Hitung x3 is 1208 inflation variable, and then there is no significant effect partial individual inflation on domestic investment. Exchange rate variable x2 because T count or smaller than T table, it means 2.006 smaller than 2.021. There is no partial individual significant effect of exchange rate on domestic investment. And then regional expenditure variable x3 T-con is smaller than the table is 1.208 smaller than 2.021. Then there is no significant effect also, and then partial or individual regional expenditure on domestic investment. From the table, the regression equation is obtained. The table ANOVA, because F count is bigger than F table, it means 15.751 bigger than 2.87. It can be concluded that the independent variable inflation, exchange rate, and regional expenditure together have significant effect on the dependent variable or investment domestic. So this the explaining the magnitude of the correlation. So our very strong relationship that is 0.752 between the independent variable x1 inflation, x2 exchange rate, and x3 regional expenditure on the dependent variable Y domestic investment or PMDN. Well, the coefficient of determination obtained is 0.568, which mean that 56.8% of the PMDN is determined or influenced by x1, x2, and x3. And then the other variable will be 43.2% influenced by other factors that cannot be explained in this study. Based on Hardomar growth theory, is the investment is key role in the process of economic growth, which can create income, which is this impact of demand and also increase the production capacity of the economy by how to increase the stock of capital as an impact of supply. Therefore, as long as investment continues, real income. The suggestion from this research is the first. From the research conducted by the author, several suggestions can be submitted as follows. The first, in the regional expenditure budget, the government should pay more attention to develop in sectors that are not only developed in the field of commercial industrialization, but quality the development in the field of education must also be able to become support for economic and non-economic progress. The construction of the educational facilities aimed at creating jobs is not less important. And second, the provincial government of DKI Jakarta and West Java should also be more aware of the importance of creating a stable economic and political climate so that it can spur the domestic investor interest in invest in Jakarta and West Java. And third, the government of DKI Jakarta and West Java should provide great support for the community in building their business in terms of low interest rate, ease of licensing, and good policies for workers and investors so as to encourage high PMDN. Okay, that is the suggestion from this research. Thank you for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, we still have two presenters left, Ibu Desi and also Sir Irwan Pratama. So let's continue to the next presenter. And after this, the end of this session, let's continue to the Q&A session. Okay, please welcome Ibu Desi Kusumawati. Halo, Bu Desi. Oke.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, hello, my name is Desi Kusmawati. I will be present the impact of Simbatan community manage about COVID-19 booster vaccination. Okay, my team is Desi Kusmawati, Nabila Bintang Ramadhani, and Puri Ratna Kartini. Introduction, Indonesia was hit causing pandemic and creating an issue many aspects of life, including health. In handling of the pandemic, one of the government effort is the implement of COVID-19 vaccination program, which aim to build immunity. The COVID-19 to reduce infection and deaths, and this consider cheaper and death treatment. Then vaccine. People are reluctant to vaccination for several reasons, including the short development time, side effect, and safety. The people attitude is influenced by several factors. Large screen theory has predisposed, reinforced, and supporting. Based on this, the study aims to determine the factor that influence people attitude towards COVID-19 vaccination in Simbatan village. This purpose is general purpose of the study to analyze the factor that influence people attitude about the COVID-19 booster vaccination in Simbatan village in year of 2022. Specific goal of the study is identify predisposing factor, supporting factor, and reinforcing factor that influence public attitude about the COVID-19 booster vaccination in Simbatan village. Yes. The literature review of COVID-19 vaccination attitude is 3. Number 1 is predisposing factor, is age, gender, education, marital status, and comorbid. Number 2 is enabling factor, is distance from home to health service. Reinforcing factor is family support. The conceptual framework is predisposing factor is age, gender, education, marital status, comorbid in income. Enable factornya distance from home to health service, and reinforcing factornya family supports. Behavior towards COVID-19 vaccination is knowledge, attitude, and practice or action. This is COVID vaccination coverage. The aim is the success the COVID-19 vaccination program. Then research method is type of research. The research will be carried out by analytical observation, namely by observing and not giving treatment to the object to the study. The research design use was cross-sectional. The population based on data obtained at the Simbatan Village Government Office as March year of 22. The population of this study is the Simbatan Village community as many as 3,380. Based on calculation using a binomial formula, the required research sample was 345 respondents. The research data analysis is bivariate analysis to analyze the relationship between two variables, p-value less than 0.25, and multivariate analysis to analyze the relationship of more than one independent variable with the independent variable multiple logistic regression, p-value less than 0.05. And bivariate analysis using simple logistic regression, factor that become candidate for further testing have p-value and 0.25, namely age, education, KP knowledge 0.48, marital status, comorbid 0.01, income in 0.005. For multivariate analysis, using multiple logistic regression, the dominant factor that influence the p-value less than 0.05 are age, less education, and marital status. And then conclusion, one research is influence factor predisposition that is age, education, and marital status to attitude public about COVID-19 booster vaccination in the village Simbatan, while the factor support and factor amplifier no, there is influence to attitude public about COVID-19 booster vaccination in the village Simbatan. Recommended socialization about COVID-19 booster vaccination continuous upgrade for knowledge and convincing society. This is its reference. Okay, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to present the result of our research. If you have any question or reflection, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Desi, for your valuable information. Okay, Ibu Desi, please stay in this room because after the last presenter, we will start the Q&A session. Okay, for the last presenter will be presented by Sir Irfan Pratama Saputra. So, sir, the floor is yours. Bu Desi, please, yes, please close your screen, ma'am. Bu Desi? Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, the last presenters will be presented by Sir Irfan Pratama Saputra.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swasti, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity given to me. It's an honor to meet all of you here. My name is Irfan Pratama Saputra, and I proudly present our paper with title Rule of Political Connection and Corporate Performance in Mediation by Green Innovation in Case Study Indonesia. This paper is in collaboration with Prof. Bambang Cahyadi, the lecturer of Airlangga University. Now, I'd like to give you a brief outline about our paper. Abstract. The study is 511 company listed stock chain in 2017 and 2019 a sample. Analytical method is path analysis. Research background is party, school, are the interest political process in educating citizens, explicit political party that have a strong influence. Political education and political connection can be like two sides of coin that intersect and difficult to spot. The existence of education in political students is not the taboo subject. The more experience with political school education, the greater the political opportunity to take part. The measurement of company, the why are not active government. Political connection can simply be defined as the percentage of the connection a company has with individual or government agency that result of political relation. The study to ask how Indonesia company can improve company performance political education with input in green innovation, so it now how does the variable are related have in company production and profit will still find attention to the performance sustainability. Hypothesis 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Next, research method. 500 company those 11 in 2019 stock sample until and the method the hypothesis result and discount. There is point 1 study physics and KP. Point 2 physics and KP in positive. 3 political connection here company performance in fish the law and political connection commissaries the company for common. And discuss is give in fair value and positive as point two in positive relation between GI and fair value. Point three in other government and society related development reform, the company is trying to innovate today GI in green in mediation effect. Point one, political connection in commissaries is significant in company in renovation involved. And two, GI full mediated in political connection and company government GI product partial mediation on company connection at by direction. And then in political connection, commissaries affect the company is performance. This is because the experience of party school is build strong network the company because it has political connection. Point B, green innovation affect company performance. Green innovation increase market value throughout production process efficiency. Point C, the mediating effect of green innovation on company performance and political connection. It is concluded that green innovation has succeeded in full mediating the political connection of commercial company performance. Thank you. That's all about our presentation today. That you for your attention. My all those we have be medical for us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Irwan Pratama. So, dear participant, let's continue to the Q&A session, the last Q&A session. So, if there are any question to our presenters, the presenters 11th until 14 presenter. So please give your question. You can deliver directly to our presenter or text it in the chat box. Okay, please. Our presenter have already here. Ibu Desi already here, and also Ma'am Niketut have already here also, and I don't see the Sir Didi Zainuddin. Yes, so our presenters today, the available is Ibu Desi and also Ibu Niketut Pertiwi. So if there is a question to our presenters, you can text it in the chat box or deliver directly. Or perhaps for the other presenters or the other participant wanted to ask to the other presenter that not available in this room today, it's okay. I will send it by email to our presenters that are not ready to join this in this room. Hello, Sir Carbonell. Very big signal here. It's okay, sir. Okay, is there any question or comment or feedback? Hello, is there any question? No question? Hello, sir, ma'am? Is there no question? No question again?
No question, ma'am.
No questions. Okay. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Christian Ganis. Also, okay, I will close this meeting first. Before we close the meeting, please, sir, ma'am, please turn on your camera. I want to take the pictures as the documentation. So please turn on your camera first. Hello, please turn on your camera first. Hello, dear participants. Please turn on your camera first. I would like to make some screenshot. Okay. One, two, three. Once again, please turn on your camera. Hello, ma'am, sir, please turn on your camera. Okay, oh, ma'am Florence say that the signal is too weak. Okay, ma'am, it's okay. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, once again, it is freestyle, ma'am. Okay, one, two, three.
Thanks a lot for Miss Pujiati.
Yes, yeah, yes, so you're very welcome, sir. Okay, I will closing this meeting first. Okay, thank you so much once again, Bapak Ibu, sir, and ma'am, dear participants, for your valuable information that you have already started with us actually. And honestly, some of these points are new from me especially. And I appreciate your presence here, and hopefully we will meet again in the future. And if you like to view the video conference again, you can visit the Universitas PGRI Madiun YouTube channel, UNIPMA, and see you at the upcoming conference. Thank you so much, Bapak Ibu. See you in the next conference. Okay, just remind you, dear participants, don't forget to submit the attendance. The volunteers have already delivered in the chat box. There are two links. The first one is the attendance link, and the second link is the evaluation link. So don't forget to submit both of these links. Okay, thank you so much. Perhaps you can go to the main room first, because perhaps there is some information again from our committee. So please leave this room and go to the main room. Thank you so much once again.